Too many people spend their lives waiting for approval, for recognition, for someone to care. But here's the truth: nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody cares about your struggles. And that's your greatest gift. Because the moment you realize this, you stop looking outward and you start working harder than ever before. Listen closely, because I'm about to tell you something that might sting, something that might shake you to your core. But it's the truth, and the truth will set you free if you can handle it. Nobody cares, not about your excuses, not about your bad day, not about the struggles you hide behind. Nobody cares if you had a rough childhood. Nobody cares if you were overlooked. Nobody cares if life wasn't fair to you. Nobody is waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning worrying about whether you're reaching your dreams or not. And that's the brutal, harsh, and liberating truth you need to accept right now. You see, most people live their lives waiting for someone to notice them, waiting for someone to cheer them on, waiting for validation, waiting for recognition, waiting for a push. They wait for life to hand them an opportunity. They wait for people to feel sorry for them. But while they're waiting, the world keeps moving, the clock keeps ticking, and time doesn't care. The harsh truth is this: the world does not reward excuses. It rewards results. It doesn't reward potential, it rewards performance. Nobody cares how much talent you have if you don't put it to use. Nobody cares about the pain you've been through if you don't transform it into power. Nobody cares about the dream in your head if you're not willing to bleed for it. And listen, I know you've been through things. I know you've been hurt. I know you've been broken, betrayed, overlooked, and underestimated. Every single one of us has scars. Every single one of us has battles we didn't ask for. But here's the defining difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck. The ones who rise stop expecting anyone else to carry their load. They stop waiting for compassion, for pity, for someone to say, "It's okay, take it easy." They look the truth in the eye and say, "Nobody cares, and that's fine because I will outwork every single obstacle in front of me." Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "If only people understood me, if only people gave me a chance, if only people saw my potential"? How many times have you felt invisible, unappreciated, and unsupported, and maybe you thought that was unfair? But let me tell you something: life is unfair, and that unfairness is the greatest advantage you will ever have, because it forces you to stop relying on anyone else and start relying on yourself. The moment you realize nobody cares, you're free. Free from expectations, free from the need to please, free from waiting for recognition, because you stop wasting energy on being noticed, and you start investing every ounce of that energy into doing the work, into the building, into creating, into grinding, into becoming so undeniable that you no longer need anyone to care because your results speak louder than their opinions. This is the raw truth. If you want to change your life, if you want to rise above average, if you want to become someone that others look at with respect, then you've got to stop caring about whether anyone cares. Nobody is supposed to care. This is your life. These are your dreams. This is your mission. And no one will fight for it as hard as you can. People will always have their own problems, their own lives, their own battles. Even the people who love you, even the people who support you, they cannot live your dream for you. They cannot carry your weight forever. They cannot wake up early for you. They cannot push through pain for you. They cannot keep the fire burning inside of you. That is your responsibility, and until you accept it, you will remain stuck. Nobody cares if you didn't sleep last night. Nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody cares if you've been grinding for years without recognition. Nobody cares if your circumstances are tough. The world is not sitting around giving out awards for effort. The world rewards execution. The world rewards consistency. The world rewards the one who keeps going long after everyone else has quit. So what does that mean for you? It means you have a choice. You can keep feeling sorry for yourself, waiting for people to notice, waiting for people to clap for you, waiting for someone to care, or you can decide right now to stop waiting and start moving. You can take that pain, that invisibility, that lack of recognition, and use it as fuel. Because here's the truth: while nobody cares about your excuses, everyone will notice your results. Nobody cares when you're at the bottom. Nobody cares when you're struggling in the dark. But the moment you rise, the moment you succeed, the moment you achieve what others said was impossible, suddenly everyone cares. Suddenly they ask how you did it. Suddenly they clap. Suddenly they say, "I always believed in you." But you and I both know the truth: they didn't. And that's okay, because you didn't do it for them. You did it for you. The harsh truth is not meant to break you. It's meant to free you, to set you on fire, to make you realize that waiting for someone to care is the biggest waste of your life. Nobody is obligated to care. Nobody owes you anything. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. You owe yourself discipline. You owe yourself effort. You owe yourself perseverance. Stop living as if people are supposed to feel sorry for you. Stop acting like your challenges make you unique. Everyone has challenges. Everyone has pain. Everyone has scars. The difference between the successful and the forgotten is not the pain they went through. It's the decision they made about that pain. Did they use it as an excuse, or did they use it as fuel? Nobody cares if you're scared. Nobody cares if you don't feel ready. Nobody cares if you failed yesterday. Nobody cares if you feel like quitting. The question is, are you willing to stand back up? Are you willing to keep fighting? Are you willing to work harder when nobody is watching, when nobody is cheering, when nobody is clapping? Because that is the true test of greatness. Most people only give their best when someone is watching. They show up when the crowd is there. They perform when the lights are on. But champions are forged in the dark. Legends are built when nobody is paying attention. The real transformation happens when you work as if the entire world is watching, even though nobody cares right now. This is the harsh truth of life, and it is also the greatest secret of freedom. Because once you stop demanding care, once you stop expecting sympathy, once you stop waiting for the world to notice, you finally gain the one thing you've been searching for all along: control. Control over your actions. Control over your destiny. Control over the only thing that ever mattered: your ability to decide in this moment that no matter what, you will work harder. Let me tell you something that will transform your life if you take it seriously. Responsibility is power. Ownership is freedom. The second you stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems, the moment you stop pointing fingers, the instant you stop expecting the world to feel sorry for you, you take back your power. You've got to understand this. As long as you blame anyone else for where you are, you're giving them control over your life. You're handing over the keys to your future. Every excuse you make, every story you tell about why you can't, every complaint about your circumstances, it all chains you to the very thing you say you want to escape. Ownership is the hammer that breaks those chains. Most people don't want to hear this because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame your boss. It's easier to blame your parents. It's easier to blame the government, in the economy, the system, or even luck. It's easier to point out everything outside of you that didn't go right than it is to look in the mirror and say, "This is on me." But that's the difference between being stuck and being unstoppable. You want to know what the most successful people in the world have in common? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even timing, it's ownership. They take absolute responsibility for everything in their lives. Not just the victories, but the failures. Not just the blessings, but the setbacks. They live by one truth: if I created this reality, I can create another. If I made this mess, I can clean it up. If I fell down, I could stand back up. That mindset is power. That mindset is liberation. Because once you own it, you can change it. As long as you believe it's someone else's fault, you remain powerless to shift it. Listen to me, your life will change the moment you stop saying, why me? And start saying, it's me. Because the truth is, you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control your response. You can control your discipline, you can control your effort, you can control your decisions, and that is where your power lies. Think about this. How many times have you said, I would be further along if only I had more support, if only I had better opportunities, if only I didn't have these challenges? But the people who make history didn't have the perfect conditions. They didn't have the perfect environment. They didn't have everyone cheering for them. They had setbacks, they had obstacles, they had critics. But what they also had was ownership. They took their lives into their own hands and refused to let excuses dictate their destiny. Taking ownership means you stop negotiating with your excuses. It means you stop waiting for someone else to believe in you before you believe in yourself. It means you stop living like a victim and you start living like a creator. Victims are powerless. Victims complain. Victims point fingers. Victims stay stuck because they believe life is happening to them. But creators take control. Creators look at the same circumstances and say, life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. Every setback is a setup. Every obstacle is a test. Every challenge is an invitation for me to rise higher. Ownership is about recognizing that you are not just a passenger in your own life. You are the driver. You are not waiting for the world to give you permission. You are not waiting for the perfect moment. You are not waiting for someone to hand you the opportunity. You decide, you move. You act, and you do it not because anyone is watching, but because it's your responsibility to show up for your own life. Stop waiting for validation. Stop craving applause. Stop depending on other people to give you permission to live your dream. It's your dream, not theirs. It's your vision, not theirs. Nobody else will see it the way you do, and they're not supposed to. That's why it's inside of you and not them. The longer you wait for them to care, the longer you wait for them to approve, the longer you wait for them to believe, you waste precious time. Ownership means you stop being addicted to the opinion of others. You stop letting other people's lack of belief determine how far you'll go. When you truly own your life, you stop asking, what will they think? And you start asking, what do I want to create? Who do I want to become? What do I need to do right now to get closer to that future? And let me be clear, ownership is not about control over everything. You can't control the weather. You can't control what other people do. You can't control what happened in your past, but you can control your choices. You can control your attitude. You can control your work ethic. You can control your standards. That's why ownership is so powerful. Because when you take full responsibility, you realize you're never powerless. Yes, life will hit you. Yes, life will knock you down. Yes, things will happen that are unfair, unexpected, and unwanted. But ownership says, even if it's not my fault, it's still my responsibility. Even if I didn't choose it, I will choose how I respond to it. That is power. That is freedom. The person who takes ownership never stays down for long. They fall, but they rise. They stumble, but they walk again. They face storms, but they keep moving forward because they know they are responsible for their own outcome, and nobody else can dictate it unless they hand over that power. When you accept responsibility and you ignite a fire within yourself, you begin to see yourself as capable, as resourceful, as someone who can find a way no matter what. And that belief, that relentless ownership of your own destiny, changes how you show up. You stop waiting for opportunity and you create it. You stop wishing for luck and you work for progress. You stop doubting whether you're enough and you start proving it to yourself through consistent action. Ownership forces you to raise your standards because when you own it all, there's no room for blame. There's no one left to point at. There's no one left to hold accountable except the person in the mirror. And that's where real growth happens. That's where transformation begins. When you stop outsourcing responsibility and start demanding more from yourself. The truth is, most people will never take full ownership of their lives. Most people would rather be comfortable with excuses than uncomfortable with responsibility. Most people would rather live in a story that explains why they can't, instead of facing the power that comes with saying, I can, I must, I will. But those who do choose ownership become unstoppable, because once you accept that it's all on you, you stop waiting and you start building. So I'm asking you right now, are you living as a victim or as an owner? Are you giving your power away by blaming, or are you taking it back by deciding? Are you living in excuses or are you living in responsibility? The answer to those questions will determine everything about your future. Talk is cheap. Dreams are easy. Words are endless. But results only come to those who are willing to do the work when everyone else is busy talking about it. Think about how much time people spend talking about what they're going to do. They tell their friends, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to take control. They post about it, they brag about it, and they even convince themselves that saying it is the same thing as doing it. But weeks go by, months pass, and nothing changes. Because talking doesn't move you forward. Complaining doesn't build your dream. Comparing doesn't bring results. Only work does. You want to know why so many people stay stuck? It's not because they don't know what to do. It's because they waste their energy talking instead of acting. They spend hours scrolling, comparing themselves to others, saying, why not me? Why am I not where they are? Why can't I have what they have? They whine, they complain, they gossip. They wait for someone to hand them the answer. And while they're busy doing all that, someone else is in the dark, grinding, working, sweating, building, and that's the person who wins. Your life will never change because of what you say. Your life will only change because of what you do over and over and over again. Consistency beats talent. Discipline beats motivation. Action beats intention. You don't have to tell the world you're working. You have to show the world your results. And here's the truth. People respect results, not words. You can tell someone your plans all day long. You can tell them your vision, your dream, your goal. But if there's no evidence, if there's no action, if there's no movement, it's just noise. The world doesn't pay you for what you talk about. The world pays you for what you deliver. Let me ask you, how many times have you set a goal and then told everyone about it, but deep down you knew you weren't going to follow through? How many times have you said, this is my year, this is my moment, I'm going to crush it? But when the alarm clock rang, you hit snooze. Talking about it gave you a temporary high, but it didn't change anything. The only thing that changes your life is action. Relentless, consistent action. Work is not glamorous. Work is not always fun. Work is often lonely, repetitive and exhausting, but work is the great equalizer. You might not have the same resources as someone else. You might not have the same background. You might not have the same opportunities, but you can outwork them. You can put in more hours. You can show up earlier. You can stay later. You can be more consistent. That's what levels the playing field. And let me tell you something, complaining will never build your future. You can sit around all day and say, it's not fair. It's too hard. It's not happening fast enough. You can spend hours crying about how tired you are, how people don't support you, how things aren't going your way. But the more time you spend complaining, the less time you spend working. And here's the truth, nobody cares about your complaints. Nobody is moved by your excuses. But everybody respects results. Comparison is another trap. You waste your life looking at what other people are doing, comparing their highlight reel to your behind the scenes, and you wonder why you're not winning. But here's the reality. You can't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You can't compare your struggle to their victory lap. The time you spend comparing is time you could spend working. The energy you waste being jealous is energy you could be using to build something of your own. Work over words. That's the mantra. Work when it's hard. Work when you don't feel like it. Work when nobody is watching. Work when everyone else is sleeping. Work when the results aren't showing yet. Because the truth is, most people quit long before the results come. They expect instant success. They expect an overnight transformation. But success doesn't show up on the first day, the first week, or even the first year. Success comes to those who work long enough, hard enough, consistently enough that quitting isn't even an option. And this isn't about working aimlessly. This is about working strategically with discipline, with focus, with an obsession for growth. Because talk is comfortable, but work is uncomfortable. Talk makes you feel good now, but work makes you strong later. Talk feeds your ego, but work feeds your future. You've got to decide, do you want to be the person who talks about their dreams, or the person who lives them? Do you want to be remembered as someone who promised a lot but delivered nothing, or as someone who built something undeniable through action? When you choose work over words, you build credibility with yourself. You start to trust yourself again, because every time you say, I'll do it, and you actually do it, you prove to yourself that you're serious. Every time you follow through, even when it's hard, you strengthen your identity as someone who gets things done. That's how confidence is built, not from talking, not from pretending, but from doing. The people who change the world are not the ones who talk the loudest. They are not the ones who complain the most. They are not the ones who compare endlessly. They are the ones who shut their mouths, put their heads down, and work. They don't need to announce it. They don't need to brag. They let the results do the talking. And here's the irony, when you stop talking and start working, when you stop complaining and start creating, when you stop comparing and start grinding, that's when people begin to notice. That's when people start asking, how did you do it? What's your secret? Where did you come from? But by then, you don't need their validation anymore, because your results are all the validation you'll ever need. Every single day you are given a choice. You can talk about it, or you can work on it. You can complain about what you don't have, or you can build with what you do have. You can compare yourself to others, or you can focus on becoming the best version of yourself. One of those paths keeps you stuck. The other leads to transformation. So the question is not whether you know what to do. You already know. The question is whether you will do it, whether you'll stop wasting time with words and start stacking hours of work, whether you'll stop hiding behind excuses and start showing up for yourself, whether you'll stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving with what you've got right now. Hard work is not just about building success, it's about building you. Every rep, every struggle, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt that you push through, it doesn't just move you closer to a goal, it reshapes who you are. Relentless effort transforms you into someone unrecognizable to the person you once were. You see, people think success is about what you get. The money, the recognition, the house, the car, the freedom. And yes, those things might come, but the real treasure is not in what you get. It's in who you become. Because when you put yourself through relentless effort, you develop something the world can't take away: discipline, resilience, and certainty in yourself. Discipline is forged in the fire of repetition. When you wake up early, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. When you stay late working, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. When you do the thing you don't want to do over and over until it becomes part of you, that's when discipline is born. Discipline isn't glamorous, it doesn't get applause. Nobody's clapping for you when you're grinding in the dark. But discipline is the foundation of freedom. Because the more disciplined you are, the more power you have to direct your life where you want it to go. And then there's resilience. Resilience doesn't come from winning. It doesn't come from everything going your way. Resilience is built when you fail, when you fall flat on your face, when life kicks you down harder than you thought possible. And yet, in that moment, you rise. You decide that failure is not the end, but the beginning. That pain is not a punishment, but a teacher. That setback is not a reason to quit, but a chance to rebuild stronger. That's resilience. And it only comes from relentless effort, because the more you push, the more obstacles you face, the more you realize nothing can break you unless you let it. And then there's certainty, the unshakable confidence that you can and will create your future. Not because someone promised you, not because circumstances are perfect, and not because you've been lucky, but because you've proven it to yourself again and again through effort. Certainty comes when you look back at the mountain of work behind you and, deep down, if you've done it before, you can do it again. Certainty is not given, it's earned. And it's earned through the relentless effort that nobody else sees. Most people don't understand this. They think hard work is punishment. They think effort is suffering. They think discipline is restriction. But the truth is, relentless effort is the very thing that sets you free. It strips away weakness. It burns off excuses. It kills the old version of you, the one who was lazy, doubtful, inconsistent, and it replaces that person with someone stronger, sharper, more certain. Someone who is unstoppable. Every time you push through when you want to quit, you're building a new identity. Every time you choose effort over comfort, you're proving to yourself who you are. And that identity is far more valuable than any external achievement, because success might come and go. Money might rise and fall. Recognition might fade. But who you become through relentless effort, that stays with you forever. The person who commits to relentless effort doesn't need motivation every day. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't depend on applause. They operate from a standard, from a decision, from an identity that says, this is who I am. I show up. I do the work. I don't stop. And when you live that way, you're no longer chasing success. Success starts chasing you. Understand this. Effort is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can dream, you can visualize, you can hope all you want. But without effort, nothing changes. And not just effort once in a while, not just effort when it's easy, not just effort when you feel good. Relentless effort. Effort when you're tired. Effort when you're discouraged. Effort when you've failed 10 times already. Effort when nobody believes in you. That's the kind of effort that transforms you. Think about the greatest champions, the legends, the people who changed the world. It wasn't talent alone. It wasn't luck. It wasn't even intelligence. It was effort, relentless, consistent, non-negotiable effort. While others were resting, they were working. While others were complaining, they were building. While others were doubting, they were proving. That's why they stood out. That's why they rose to the top. And here's the secret. Effort compounds. One day of effort might not change much. One workout won't transform your body. 1 hour of studying won't make you a master. One day of discipline won't build a legacy. But stack those days. Stack them relentlessly, over weeks, over months, over years. That's when the compound effect kicks in. That's when transformation becomes inevitable. That's when you wake up one day and realize you're no longer who you used to be. Relentless effort rewires your mind. It teaches you to trust yourself. It teaches you that you can handle pain, that you can endure discomfort, that you can rise above limitations. It teaches you to stop negotiating with weakness. It teaches you that growth doesn't come in comfort, it comes in challenge. And the more you expose yourself to effort, the more you crave it, because you know it's the pathway to everything you've ever wanted. But here's the truth, relentless effort is lonely. It's not glamorous, it's not a highlight reel. It's waking up before the sun rises and working while the world sleeps. It's grinding day after day when nobody notices, when nobody applauds, when nobody even believes. It's saying no to distractions, no to temptations, no to the easy way out. It's giving everything you've got and then finding more when you thought you had nothing left. And yet, it's in that loneliness, in that struggle, in that hidden grind, that transformation happens. Not just on the outside, but on the inside. Because relentless effort doesn't just build muscles, it builds character. It doesn't just build skills, it builds spirit. It doesn't just build results, it builds resilience. That's why so many people never change. They want the reward without the effort. They want success without the sweat. They want the transformation without the struggle. But that's not how life works. Life gives the reward to the relentless. Life gives transformation to those who refuse to quit. Life gives success to the ones who keep showing up long after everyone else is gone. When you embrace relentless effort, you stop fearing the work. You start loving it. You stop wishing for easy and you start demanding challenge because you know that challenge is what shapes you. Effort is what defines you. Struggle is what refines you. And every day you show up, every day you refuse to quit, every day you give more than you thought you had, you're sculpting a version of yourself that you once thought was impossible. And one day, the results will show. The body will change, the business will grow, the opportunities will come, the recognition will follow. But by then, you'll realize something far greater. You didn't just build success, you built yourself into someone who no longer fears failure, someone who no longer doubts their worth, someone who no longer waits for permission. You built someone who knows without a shadow of a doubt that they can handle whatever comes next. So here we are. We've uncovered the truth that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is sitting around thinking about your dreams. Nobody is waiting to hand you the life you want. And that is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because once you realize nobody cares, you stop waiting, you stop begging, you stop living like a victim, and you start living like the creator of your own destiny. We talked about ownership. The moment you decide to take 100% responsibility for your life, everything changes. No more blaming, no more pointing fingers, no more giving your power away. It's your life, your choices, your outcomes. And when you own it, you control it. When you control it, you can transform it. We talked about the trap of words versus the power of work. Words are cheap, complaints are worthless. Comparison is poison. But work, consistent, relentless, uncompromising work, that's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's not what you say, it's what you do that shapes your life. And finally, we talked about transformation through relentless effort, because hard work doesn't just create results, it creates you. It builds discipline when you don't feel like it. It builds resilience when life knocks you down. It builds certainty when you've proven to yourself again and again that you can rise, you can push, you can endure, and you can win. This is the message: you stop waiting, stop complaining, stop hoping for an easier path. Nobody cares, and that's the greatest gift you'll ever receive, because it means the power has always been in your hands. Your future doesn't belong to the critics, the doubters, the circumstances, or the excuses. Your future belongs to you. So the next time you feel tired, the next time you feel invisible, the next time you feel like nobody cares, remember this truth. They don't have to care, because you will care enough to show up. You will care enough to put in the work. You will care enough to never quit. And when you do, you will become unstoppable. Nobody cares. Work harder.